Hello, everybody, and welcome to the bachatarockstar HEARTHSTONE stream. So take a look at the first card, and so let me see. Let me zoom in. How do I zoom in on this? There we go. Make it nice and big. That was a little too much. And what is this stupid bar doing there? I can't get rid of it. Okay, here we go. Card number 1, Azamat. 5 mana. 5 mana? Seems like a lot. Oh. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Sorry. Azamat. 5 mana. 1/1 beast. Swap attack, health, and effects with a random enemy minion. Interesting. This is very reminiscent of Vol'jin. I like it. 5 mana is a lot. Attack, health, and effects. So it would copy the card text then, I would assume. So this would be really good if, like, you know, your opponent plays a Tyrion, and then you play Azamat, and then... Oh! Wow, so because you swap it, you would make... Yeah, so it's definitely like Vol'jin in that sense. So basically, you're turning your opponent's thing into a 1/1, basically a 1/1 silenced minion. Oh, no, it would still have Divine Shield. So it would still have its text. So the question here then, I think, is when you take the text... Does it take it? Does it remove the text from your opponent's thing? Or does it acquire the text? Because if it says swap, I would assume that meant you got the attack. It steals it. Yes. Okay. Then this is definitely worth 5 mana. Excellent card. I think this is fantastic. I think it'd be very, very good with a control-y style hunter. Something where you would kind of clear the board except for their biggest minion and then play Azamat and swap them out. I think this card is fantastic. Awesome card. Really, really well designed. 5 mana is actually a nice cost for it. And it's random. So it's one of those effects that you can only kind of control. You can half control it. Wow. So if you played this on Tyrion, it would just become a 1/1. And then Azamat would become an 8/8 with Divine Shield that gives you Ashbringer afterwards. Wow! Now, that's best case scenario. Problem is, you got Azamat on turn 5, and there's no minion. This guy sucks. So, it's a very situational card. It's really neat. I like it. Hunter. It's a weird class to have it in. I think it's actually very odd to have it in Hunter, and I think it would be hard. It would be difficult to utilize it in Hunter properly. That is my issue, is Hunter doesn't have... I mean, okay, I take that back. Hunter's got removal, but you'd have to play more removal in order to make Azamat work. And because it's a legendary and there's only one in your deck, it's going to be a lot harder to find a situation where Azamat is going to be, like, amazing. You can find situations where Azamat is going to be pretty good. You know? Just playing on turn 5 and turning your opponents, I don't know, people don't play Chillwind Yetis, but, you know, they're a relatively strong 4-drop, and turning it into a 1/1 and then getting yourself a 4-drop with some effects, that's nice. I will make a set where every class gets 6 legendaries but can only use 1. This will be the control legendary for a control hunter. I like that idea, actually. I think that's a really neat idea. I think, like having these different legendaries available to you and deciding when to use it. So, thumbs up. I think Azumat is great. And way to keep it within the lore, too. I don't know much about World of Warcraft, but I definitely know about Azumat. So, I think this card is great. Again, like I said, a little odd in a hunter deck, but hey, you know what? I think it would definitely spawn new deck archetypes. All right, moving on. We've got a Slip Through Time. Interesting. Replace your current hand with the first 3 cards in your starting hand. What? Say what? Replace your current hand with the first 3 cards in your starting hand. Wow. That's holy shit. That's kind of crazy. Well, you'd have to remember what those cards were first. So, if you're going to put this in your deck, get a piece of paper handy. Ah, that's crazy. This totally reminds me of like a Magic the Gathering like blue mana card. I mean, yes, it's blue, but you know what I mean? Like it feels like one of those blue effects where it's like, scry 3 cards and draw them and put some on top of your deck and put some on the bottom of the deck and So I can think of a couple of different ways to play this card, just kind of off the top of my head. My first one would be, okay, my hand sucks. It gets a little later in the game. Maybe like turn 6, turn 7, something like that. You're like, my hand sucks. I play a Slip Through Time. And then I just, and then I know exactly what I'm getting back. So then it allows you to make a play where maybe you would not have had one. Or you didn't have a lot of options. You had a really awkward turn. So Slip Through Time gives you a chance to make your hand less awkward. Yeah. And I think the other situation I can see this working in is in like a really fast, really aggro deck. And it can work a little bit like Divine Favor, where you try to dump your hand really fast, and then you play a Slip Through Time, and then boom. And so if you have no cards, it's just like you drew 3 cards. The other thing it would do is I think it would make you want to keep somewhat stronger cards in the beginning, so that way when you Slip Through Time, you're drawing good cards. You're drawing strong cards. But what that does is that fucks up your early game and your early tempo. So a part of me is thinking if I was going to play Slip Through Time, I would actually try to keep some mid-range cards, maybe like, 4, 5, 6 mana. So if I play a Slip Through Time on turn 10, I would draw cards that I could actually play. And then if I drew a Slip Through Time again, I could dump my hand and then play it again. So I feel like those are where this card comes in and where it could really help. Yeah, I could easily see this card fitting very well in a tempo mage, an aggro mage. I could absolutely see this card. I assume it's a mage spell, so we're gonna have to stick with that, right? But I could also see this working in a very control-heavy kind of Reno style deck. And it says I'm replacing my hand. So I would assume that I'm getting copies of these cards. So if I played this on turn 3, would I get my cards back? Oh, no, I wouldn't, because I would toss the hand and then get those 3 originally. So that'd be kind of nice, too, if you were like, let's say you actually curved out really well. and you went like, turn 1, turn 2, and then slip through time, and then you get your turn 1 and turn 2 plays back. And then you can keep aggroing out. So, you could go Mana Worm into Sorcerer's Apprentice into Mana Worm, slip through time, buff all your Mana Worms and go nuts. So I could see this working in a really tiny minion or tiny spell kind of deck. Wow, really neat card. You know what is so great about this card is it's so versatile. Like it can be used at almost any point during the game. It just, your hand sucks, see you later. Give me more. So my other question is, does it discard your hand? You're replacing your hand, so does that mean those cards go back in your deck, or are they gone? Are they just dead? Because it's possible I might have a hand that's clunky now, but will become better in a turn or two. So I may not want to play a Slip Through Time then. I think the best way to play this card would be, like I said, to try to dump your hand and then slip through time and just use it as draw 3. And 3 mana is well costed, because potentially you could be throwing cards away, but you still want to use it to play it and then be also able to play other cards. One of the things that kind of fucks up Solemn Vigil is it's so expensive initially, and if you don't kill stuff, you're just drawing 2 cards for 5 mana, that's not really worth it. This card is great because you're always drawing 3. Yes, you're discarding, but you're always drawing 3. You know what? This would be really neat if it was a Warlock card and it said discard your current hand and then replace it with the first 3. Because then you could combo with Malchezaar's Imp and do some sick shit like that. Just saying. I believe it's a mage card, though. I love it. I think this is fantastic. I think this is awesome. Really cool. Really, really, really cool idea. Let me make this bigger here. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see it here. So we're looking at some custom cards today, put on by Black the Dentist here. Oh, wow, that was fast. Silverhand Holyfin. 3 mana, 2/2. Your hero power summons Silverhand Murlocs. Inspire. Give all friendly Murlocs +1/+1. Ooh! Huh! Dennis, I think I've seen this card. Somewhere. I forget where. This card is neat. Your hero power summons Silverhand Murlocs. Inspire, give all friendly Murlocs +1/+1. One, I love that Inspire is making a comeback with this card. I love that. I still love Inspire as a mechanic. I still do. I don't get why people are hating on it. So let's see here. You play this on turn 5. You've got a 2/2 Merlok. And then you summon a 1/1 Merlok. It becomes a 2/2. And then this becomes a 3/3. If I'm reading that correctly. Because this is a Merlok. Ooh, that's really neat. That makes sense, though. That actually would make it comparable to like a Silverhand Regent or or a Steward of Darkshire. I like this card. I like this card a lot. This would actually make full-on Merlok Paladin a thing. Right? Because you can go Tidecaller, and then you can go Tide Hunter, and then you can play this, or you can play Nightbane Templar. Like there's Dragon Murloc synergies in here that you can do. This is neat. I like this card. This might even make a Menagerie deck work. Ah, that is sick. It buffs itself. That is so cool. Oh, man. Imagine 2 Silverhand Holyfins on there, man. Give all your fucking Murlocs +2/+2. Oh, that's so cool. Oh man, the only problem is just it's just the stats are low. Yes, it becomes a 3/3 when it inspires, but initially the stats are low. So the problem is it's not something that you can just kind of drop on turn 3. One of the things about Murloc Knight that I liked was, in theory, it could be a turn 4 play. So the tough part about this card is this is never going to be a turn 3 play. This is a turn 5 play for sure every time. That being said, I think this card is spectacular. And what's really cool, so the other thing I want to know is, does this card work like the Vilefin Inquisitor does and flips your hero power back over? Because there's a combo you can do with Vilefin Inquisitor where your hero power, you play the Vilefin Inquisitor, and then it flips your hero power back, and then your hero power again. So then you get a Recruit, and then a Merlok. So my question is, can you go Vilefin Inquisitor on 1, flip and get some Murlocs, get a 1/1 Murloc, play Silverhand Holyfin, flip, and then have it flip, and then get 2. Can you double up? Is my question. If you can double up, then this makes a very good turn 7 play, where you go Hero Power, Holyfin, Hero Power. Something along those lines. But being able to combo this with Vilefin Inquisitor is great, because now you have 4 things that can turn your hero power into the Merlok hero power. I love that. I love that idea. Redundancy in Hearthstone makes a deck. It doesn't change your hero power. It'd be too good otherwise. It just summons a Merlok instead of the Silverhand Knight. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's not quite as good as I thought. Not quite as good as I thought. It should do it. Why not? I don't think that's a big deal. I think it's fine. I think it should flip it. Because that's usually what happens anytime there's something that alters your hero power. So, with the way it's worded now, then, it wouldn't flip it. It would just become that until this dies. So then when it dies, it would revert back then, is what I would assume. Still good. Still good. I like it. I do like the card. I think it's awesome. And I definitely think it would make for a Merlok, full-on Merlok Paladin card. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's move on. We've got Mutinous the Righteous. I hope I'm saying that right. 1 mana, 2/2. If your deck contains at least 5 different Murlocs at the start of the game, you can mulligan 1 additional time. Ooh. Well, it's a 1 mana 2/2 Merlok, so that's already good. You know, I mean, it's a Raven, the Enchanted Raven, but it's a Merlok, so it adds to the tribal synergy. And then you can mulligan again. That's going to be difficult. This is the only card that makes for second mulligans, so I don't know. I don't know if Blizzard's going to have to change their entire interface. Or, I don't know if that's going to screw up the game somehow. Assuming they can make this happen, make it work. It shouldn't be too hard, but that's something they're going to have to test and make sure it doesn't bug out. I don't know how much of a benefit is mulliganing again. Yeah. Huh. So this doesn't have to be in your hand, though. It'll just happen at the beginning of the game. If that's the case, it's a good card. I think it's worth having. And, 1 mana 2/2 Merlok is great. And then combining it with the card we just saw. Screw Blizzard in their interface. Just saying. They put out expansions long enough. I think, this is good. This is good. I'm more excited about the card before it, but these two combo really well together. There's excellent synergy here. And, Merlok Paladin should be a legit thing. Not OTK Merlok Paladin. Actual Merlok Paladin. And I feel like this would push that archetype, and I think that's a good thing. And, I like it. Am I the only one, though, that thinks having Murlocs and Paladin is weird? I don't think the aesthetic quite fits. I'd always thought Merlok Shaman was something they should have pushed. But that's just me. Shamans seem more, in tune with the elements and water, you know. I don't know. Or maybe like a Merlok Mage makes sense to me. I don't know. Merlok Paladin seems odd, but since this is the archetype they decided to go with, I love tribes. I love tribal synergy. I think it's good. Yes, awesome. I didn't think so. A second mulligan in a Merlok deck, I don't think is that big of a deal. A second mulligan in a non-Merlok deck becomes strong. I just think Murlocs are neat, but I'm just trying to think about like where they fit. 2 mulligans is very powerful. Don't get me wrong. So my question is, are you... I feel like the problem with this card, though, is... excuse me. You have to have 5 different Murlocs in your deck. Okay. That we can do. Because otherwise the effect doesn't go off. So it's not like you just slam this in a deck and, hey, look, I get the mulligan again. So it's only going to work in Merlok decks. That being said, I feel like having a second mulligan in a Merlok deck is actually not a big deal. Because you have so many Murlocs that you're going to try to make work anyway. And they all synergize with each other. And that's sort of the point of a Merlok deck is the synergy. Is everything kind of working together. And... so, your second mulligan, it's not too big a deal. You're probably replacing like 1 card a lot of the time. Maybe 2. So, I like it. I think it's a good card. And I like the restriction on it. The restriction on it is very good because it limits it to Merlok decks. So, I like this card. I think it's great. And I think this card, along with the Holy Fin, would absolutely create Paladin archetypes. All right, let's move on. Looks like a priest card, if I'm reading it correctly. Boon of the Tide Mistress. Draw a card. If it's a tribal minion, draw another card. Wait, what? So, I'm assuming the tribes are Merlok, Beast, Dragon, and Mech. And Pirate? Is that right? 5? 5 tribes? Correct me if I'm wrong here. Merlok, Beast, Dragon, Mech, and Pirate. Did I do that right? If tribal means the 3, like the Menagerie tribes, this card is not as good as I thought it was. If tribal means all 5... this card is ridiculous. Mech. Oh, and Demon. Well, there's only 1 Demon. Okay. I could see this working like in a Malkazar priest deck then. Interesting. Interesting. Oh, that is neat. Wow, 2 mana, draw 2 cards, potentially. Ah, that's really good. Wow, this might be OP. It would force you to play more tribal synergies in Priest, which honestly you don't see a lot. I tried a Zoo Priest, or a Menagerie Priest not too long ago. It didn't do that well. But would this create a Menagerie Priest? I don't know. It's definitely really strong. But, you think about a card like the Menagerie Warden, and, Beast Druid still isn't really a thing right now. I don't know. I like this card. I think it's a good card. I think just 2 mana draw a card is pretty good. It's better than Purify. Like, significantly better than Purify. Like, I would actually put this in my deck. The fact that it draws from a tribal minion is interesting to me. I like the idea of this card. My only concern is that it might pigeonhole Priest a little bit and sort of force them to play cards that they may not want to play. There would have to be... I'd have to see some other cards that were tribal that were like really worth playing in a Priest deck. Because tribal synergy with like Hunter and with, to a lesser extent, Druid and Paladin, like they make sense because there's cards that go along with it, so the synergies are strong. Whereas this card, like, I like it. I like the idea of it. I like being able to draw 2 cards, especially Priest, who usually is not that good at drawing cards. My only concern, like I said, my concern with the card is that there just won't be enough tribal synergy cards to actually make this card worth it. So if we saw some other tribal Priest cards, because Priest doesn't have any tribes normally, then I think this card might be busted. So yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those things where I gotta find the tribal synergy, and if I can, it'll be good. All right, that's awesome. Let's move on. Ooh, fancy card. Army of the Dead. Resummon 4 different friendly pirates that died this game. Is this a Priest card? It looks like a Priest card. Is it a Priest card? Because Pirate Priest. That doesn't make sense at all. But damn it, I want to play it. I want to play Pirate Priest if it is a thing. Huh. Resummon 4 pirates. 4? Why only 4? Oh, it's 7 mana. Okay. I'd have to see some other pirate cards. But I could... It's a good card. You know, it just fills the board. It's awesome. It's like a mini N'Zoth. It is a Priest card. Okay. Okay. Pirate Priest needs to become a thing. I would love to see some Pirate Priest. I'm all about tribes. I'm all about mixing the tribes. So if we can make Pirate Priest a thing, that would be cool. That being said, one of the things that makes pirates bad in Priest is that they have low health and high attack. So if we can get some sort of Priest cards that switch that up, and get some higher health priests, higher health pirates, then this card would become excellent. This card, oh man, like this would be a really sick like turn 10 play. You go Army of the Dead, and then you go Sky Captain Crag, and then just home, and you smash him in the face. So I like this card. I want to see some more Priest Pirate cards, and then this Tribal Synergy would be great. And this is another card that actually would work really good with Herald Village too, right? You could play this and then Herald Village back and summon some more pirates. You know, this plus Resurrect plus Onyx Bishop. There's a ton of like things dying and then things getting resurrected synergy with this card. So I love it. I think it's great. Even if the pirates were just swashbuckler. Okay, it's even if they were just like 2/3s and 3/3 pirates. Like even that, if that's all it was, like getting 4 of those, that's really good, man. Like Karakazan sucks because you're just not getting enough. You're getting tiny bodies, right? But with this card, you're getting legit sized bodies, and you get to refill your board. You get Flamestruck, and then you play this card, and you're right back in it. So I think that's awesome. I think it's a good card. But again, it's going to depend on what kind of pirates we get in Priest. Let's see here. Obsidian Sky Terror. 2 mana, 3/2 dragon with charge, but it can't attack damaged creatures. Can't attack damaged characters. So, if you hit your opponent in the face for 1, this could not hit it in the face. Huh. Interesting. Is this a rogue card? No, this isn't a rogue card. What border is that? It's a black card? It's not a neutral. Am I being dumb? I'm drawing a blank here. Dennis, when you get this, tell me what class this is for. Not Shaman, right? Charge and can't attack damaged characters. So that means if there was a minion on the board that had taken damage, it couldn't attack that. And if the hero had taken damage, it also could not attack the hero. So this is an excellent early game card. It is a rogue. Okay. Okay. That makes sense then. So it's trying to build some dragon synergy for rogue, which honestly is lacking. Dragon rogue needs to be a thing. Yeah, so this is an excellent early game card. This is really good if you haven't hit your opponent yet. This is really good to clear a 3 health minion. It'd be really good on turn 3 or turn 4. Yeah, no, it's okay. Don't worry. There's always like a 15-30 second delay on the stream, man. So don't even trip off that. I appreciate you giving me feedback because obviously I have questions. I'm seeing these cards for the first time. Wow, 3 attack charge. That's really good. That's really good. Yeah, this is definitely like it's almost like a quick shot. You just like play it and go. You know, play it and go, play it and attack. And in Rogue, that's really nice because they're all about early game clear, early game board control, and then snowballing into something bigger and bigger and bigger. So this could easily take out a 1/1 and then attack again. This could easily take out a 4/3. It could combo with a 3/4 and your dagger to take down something. Like, it's really good. And the drawback is neat. I really actually like the drawback because it's going to allow it to still be cheap. If it didn't have that drawback, it'd have to be it might even be 4 mana if it didn't have the drawback. The drawback is actually really good because it keeps the card cheap. And I think that is a legitimate drawback. I think this is a really well-designed card. And I don't know if it's going to make Dragon Rogue a thing, but it could. It would certainly make you think about it. It would definitely make you consider it. It's a very nice complement to Fairy Dragon, too, right? Like, they're both very similar cards. 2 mana, 3/2s that have an effect. But I like this effect better. Like, I like being able to charge out and attack with this card. Excuse me. So I would say that as the rogue, though, you're going to want to be careful and not accidentally ping the face if you have this card in your hand. So you got to be careful about making sure when you damage things, right? Like, you got to play this and attack, and then you can attack with your minion or attack with your dagger afterwards. I think it's a neat card, and I think it's really well designed. And I think it could be excellent in Rogue. All right, cool. Let's move on. Fell Breath. 1 mana, deal 2 damage. If you're holding a dragon, ignore Divine Shield and Armor. Huh. That's neat. That's really neat. That is cool. You get some removal? 1 mana removal? Okay. I assume it's a Warlock card. Because Gul'dan loves the Fel. I think if you're holding a dragon, ignore Divine Shield and Armor. So armor obviously is only on a it's only on a hero. So that's good. You'd actually be doing damage to the life total then. Cool. Neat. I like it. I think it's a cool card. I like the design, and it's encouraging Dragon Warlock, which kind of is a thing. So, yeah. And Warlock needs some of that early game removal. When Dark Bomb went away, like, it left a void. So, cool. I like it. Tide of Mutilation. Also a Warlock card, I would assume. 1 mana. When you draw or cast the spell, summon a 1/1 Merlok. If you discard it, 2 1/1 Merloks. Oh! Neat! Oh, that is cool. Holy shit. Wait, this card might be busted. Okay. Hold on. So you draw it, you get a Merlok. You cast it, you get a Merlok. If you discard it, you get 2... Okay, no, never mind. I kept thinking you get like 4 Merloks. That's not right. That's not correct. So you draw it, you get 1, and then if you can discard it, you get 2 more. So at max, you get is 3. Okay. Then it's fine. Then it's costed fine. Wow, that's really versatile. I like that. And it encourages Merlok Warlock. It encourages Merlok. Merlok. Oh, this is neat. This is really neat. I like this card. Nice. Disco Merlok is going to be a thing. Merlok Disco Lock. Oh, wow. This card is awesome. Yes. Oh, I love it. Because you can just play it as a 1/1, right? If you're like in a bind and you can't discard it. But if you do discard it, you get 2. And, that's not OP. It's fine. It's like, living roots. It's the living roots of Merlok Warlock. But what's nice is, though, you can fit this into just like a zoo deck. Like, it doesn't have to be a Merlok deck per se. So I can see this actually fitting into a lot of decks, and it utilizes this card mechanic, too. But even just having, 2 1/1s for 1 mana is good. Yeah. Oh, this card is great. This card is great. And I think, are we at the last? Is this the last card? Yes, it is. Okay. And the last card is Tiny Fin Ocean's Horror. 1 mana, 1/2 charge. And this is always the first card you draw. Huh. So it's always your first top deck. Oh, wow. Holy shit. I'm going to stroke my thinking beard. This might be too strong. This might be OP. This might be OP. Oh, the artwork is so cute. 1 mana, 1/2 with charge. Wow. That's really good. That's really good. This might be OP. This might be busted. Because you could play this in a Cold Light Seer on turn 4 and just whack somebody. Or you play this in a War Leader. This in a War Leader and it becomes a 3/3 with charge. Yeah, this card might be busted. Honestly, the always first card you draw thing might not need to be there. I think it would be better if it said You can't mulligan this card. Like if it's in your starting hand, you can't mulligan it. Or I don't think it needs a nerf. 1 mana, 1/2 with charge. There's so many combos to this card, though. The stats are fine. Try to think here. Always the first card you... that's so good. Because that means you can mulligan for other things and, like, you know you're getting this card. Huh. But he's a corrupted Tiny Fin. No, I think it's costed fine. Because he's corrupted, so he should be buffer. Ah, man, this card could definitely be OP. I think, you know what? Honestly, just take the text out. Just charge and that's it. Because always having this on turn 1 is weird. Yeah. I think it needs to have a more Merlok-oriented thing. You know what? You know what would actually make this fine? I thought of something. If you control a Merlok, gain charge. So the charge isn't always there. The charge is only there if you have a Merlok already there. So if you play this on turn 1, it's just a 1 mana 1/2. It doesn't have charge. Right? But if you have a Merlok already, now it gains charge. So it's like stronger, you know. Yeah, you know what this should be? This should be 1 mana 1/2. If you're holding if you control another Merlok, gain charge. I think that is good. Or maybe you could make it something like the Dragon Synergy. Because what you don't want this card to be something where turn 1, you're always getting in that chip damage immediately. And then later on in the game, you could play this card with some sort of other Merlok synergy, and then it just becomes fucking OP. Right? Like the thing that made Old Murkai so strong was just having other Murlocs on board, and then he became buffer and buffer and buffer. You know, so with this thing, I think just not having charge in the beginning means you're just playing a 1 mana 1/2, which is fine. You know, but then it gets charged. You know what else? You know what you could even do? This could be a 1 mana 1/2, and then if you control another Merlok, or if you control 2 Murlocs, then give this +1 attack and charge. There's something to think. There's something to do there too. Like if you control 1 Merlok, give it charge. If you control 2 Murlocs, give it +1 attack. Something like that. Something to add into the Merlok synergy. Just a thought. You know? So I think the charge should be conditional somehow. You know, you should be rewarded for getting other Murlocs on board and keeping them alive. And then this guy comes in and pow! And becomes the guy that clears out stuff. Yeah, something like that. Something where the more Murlocs you hold, you get you get something. You know, it doesn't even have to be on board though. Too, it could be in your hand, right? Like, oh, if you hold two Merloks, if you have two Merloks in your hand, give this +1 in charge. Something like that. Like, yeah. Because I just think I don't think that the text on this card is a drawback. I think it is a benefit, and so then I think 1 mana is actually too cheap for this card. So I think you would have to make it a 2 mana card, if you didn't do that. But I think having other Merloks on board would require you to play something first and then do it. So yeah, dude, love the cards. Thank you so much for sharing them. I really appreciate it, man. It's a really cool like addition to the stream. So that's really neat, man. Thank you very much.